This is the Korean Peninsula, a small strip of land but one of the most militarized and politically fragile places on Earth. Here, just 35 miles apart, lie two capitals, Pyongyang and Seoul. Two cities, two governments, two worlds. Both call themselves Korea. Both see themselves as legitimate, but for 80 years now, they've been divided. And this raises the question, will North and South Korea ever unite, or has that dream already died? To answer this, we need to go back to the beginning. In 1945, Japan surrendered at the end of World War II. The Korean Peninsula, which had been annexed by Tokyo since 1910, was suddenly free. But instead of independence, Korea was split. The Soviet Union moved in from the north, the United States from the south. What was supposed to be temporary became permanent. By 1948, two governments were established: the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north, the Republic of Korea in the south. Both claimed to rule all of Korea. Both trained armies. Both prepared for war. In June 1950, North Korea invaded. Kim Il-sung wanted to unify the peninsula under communism. What followed was 3 years of devastation, the Korean War. Millions were killed, families torn apart, cities reduced to rubble, and when it was over, there was no peace treaty, only an armistice, a ceasefire, a line across the map. The 38th parallel, frozen in place by barbed wire, landmines and soldiers. The demilitarized zone, the DMZ, remains to this day. Since then, there have been moments of hope. In 1972, joint statement calling for peaceful unification. The Sunshine Policy in the 2000s, with leaders from both sides shaking hands and even launching economic projects together. The Panmunjom Declaration in 2018, where Kim Jong-un and South Korea's President Moon Jae-in vowed to end hostilities. But each time, the momentum collapsed. Nuclear weapons, US pressure, shift in politics, distrust, and now, in 2025, the dream seems further away than ever. For decades, Pyongyang's official position was unification. Every speech, every parade, every textbook claimed that North and South would one day be one again. But that changed recently. In January, Kim Jong-un stood before the Supreme People's Assembly and declared something unthinkable. Reunification with South Korea was no longer possible. The South, he said, should now be considered the primary foe and principal enemy. This was more than rhetoric. North Korea demolished the arch of reunification in Pyongyang, amended its constitution to label the South as hostile, and promised to expand its nuclear arsenal. So why this sudden reversal? Part of the answer lies in South Korea's own politics. When presidents in Seoul support dialogue like Moon Jae-in did, from 2017 to 2022, Pyongyang responds. In 2018, Kim Jong-un even described the two Koreas as one nation, but Moon's concessions, made without concrete denuclearization commitments, were attacked at home as weakness. His opponents mocked it as the Moonshine policy. By 2022, Moon's party lost power. His successor, Yoon Suk-yeol, took a hard line, demanding denuclearization first before any engagement. Military spending rose, joint US-South Korea drills resumed, and Pyongyang once again felt cornered. For North Korea, this cycle is exhausting. Each new South Korean president can only serve one 5-year term. Policies swing wildly from reconciliation to confrontation. From Pyongyang's perspective, no agreement is permanent, and every deal risks being undone at the next election. Domestically, Kim also faces pressure. North Korea is one of the most militarized societies in the world. The military consumes up to a quarter of GDP. Its parades, pageantry, and songs glorify soldiers as heroes of the nation. For Kim, preserving the prestige of the military isn't optional, it's survival. Every national holiday requires a display of strength, often a missile test or nuclear announcement. Talking about peace while relying on this system is politically impossible. So Kim flipped the script. Instead of framing unification as inevitable, he now portrays it as dangerous. The South is no longer a sibling but an enemy, and for now, that narrative works. For South Koreans, unification was once a sacred goal. In the 1990s, nearly 80% of people supported it, but today, that number has fallen to just 37%. Among young people, more than 70% say it isn't necessary at all. Why the change? Money. South Korea is a global economic powerhouse with a GDP of $1.7 trillion. North Korea's economy is barely $23 billion. Bringing the two together would cost anywhere from $322 billion to $5 trillion over decades. Roads, electricity, education, healthcare, all would need massive investment. Germany offers a cautionary tale. When East and West Germany reunified in 1990, it cost over $2 trillion, and income gaps persisted for decades. South Koreans worry the same would happen, only worse. Taxes would rise, jobs would be disrupted, the South's hard-earned prosperity would be put at risk. There's also culture. South Koreans live in one of the world's most wired, free, and competitive societies. North Koreans live an isolated, controlled, and militarized one. For generations now, young people on both sides have grown up with no real connection to each other. Many in the South see the North less as long-lost family and more as a burden. So when politicians in Seoul speak about unification, the public often listens politely but shrugs. For many, peaceful coexistence, not merger, sounds more realistic. Even if the North and South wanted to unite, the world might not let them. China sees North Korea as a buffer zone. If the peninsula unites under Seoul, it would place a US-aligned democracy right on China's border. That's unacceptable to Beijing. Refugee flows, lost influence, and American troops just miles away from Chinese soil make unification a nightmare scenario for them. Russia feels similarly. In 2025, Moscow and Pyongyang deepened military ties, trading technology for troops. For Vladimir Putin, North Korea is a useful partner against Western pressure. A united Korea almost certainly align with the US and Japan, weakening Russia's hand in the region. And then there's the United States. Technically, the Korean War never ended. The US still stations nearly 30,000 troops in South Korea, ready to fight at a moment's notice. Washington prioritizes denuclearization above everything else. And while it supports eventual unification, its real focus is preventing war in the present. These overlapping interests create a stalemate. North Korea stays separate because China and Russia want it that way. South Korea hesitates because of costs, and the US is stuck managing the conflict rather than resolving it. Still, what if it did happen? What if the Koreas somehow united? Economists say the potential is huge. North Korea has untapped mineral resources worth $6 to $10 trillion. Its 25 million citizens could provide cheap labor, boosting South Korean industries. A unified Korea could open rail routes through North Korea into China, linking directly to Europe. In the long run, such a country might rival Japan or even Germany. But the costs would come first. Welfare programs, new infrastructure, retraining workers, transitioning a command economy into a free market. Estimates run as high as $5 trillion, spread over decades. The question is whether South Koreans are willing to pay that price. So far, the answer seems no. So what does the future hold? Analysts usually describe three possible scenarios. First, collapse. If the North Korean regime fell, perhaps from economic crisis or internal revolt, the South could move in and absorb the country, much like West Germany did with East Germany. But this is unlikely because China would intervene to prevent chaos at its border. Second, federation. a loose arrangement where both sides keep their systems but cooperate more deeply on trade, infrastructure, and family exchanges. This was once floated in talks, but given current hostilities, it feels like a fantasy. Third, indefinite division. The status quo. Two states side by side, separated but not at war. This is the most likely scenario. For now, neither side sees real benefit in giving up their identity, their security, or their political systems. So, will North and South Korea ever unite? The honest answer is not anytime soon. The barriers are too high, the costs too great, the politics too fragile, and the geopolitics too entrenched. But history has a way of surprising us. Few believed East and West Germany would unite until they did. Few imagined the Cold War would end so suddenly until it collapsed. For Koreans, the dream of unity is fading but not gone. It may take a crisis, a shift in leadership, a change in global balance, but the possibility lingers, however faint. For now, the Korean peninsula remains what it has been since 1953, divided. Two Koreas, two systems, living side by side, locked in history, waiting for a future.